pre-recorded live video chat, we're actually going to show you how to set up your online storefront. Now, the content of this storefront is entirely up to you and your product. But with this step completed, you will actually be online. You will actually be able to sell your product and receive money. So let's get started.
All right, so I'm just going to kind of slowly step through this, and we'll set up basically a sales page. So assuming you've set up the Infinity free app web hosting, you can either follow along now, ask questions, or you can just do it whenever it's convenient for you. So I'm going to share my screen if I can find the right one. There we go. So basically, you've got your account set up. If it's been set up for 3 days, then it should be active. And so inside your account is basically, the name of your business, as is somewhat relevant to whatever it is you might be selling. You may set up some hypothetical ridiculous product like I'm doing right now that has nothing to do with anything, because you can build and create as many of these as you want to. And that's one of the beauties of doing online marketing and businesses, is you can literally try a dozen different ideas, kick them all out the door, and see which ones start returning money. If you're doing a fairly decent job, it can still take really a couple of days to get a full project up and running, but that's nothing considering that there doesn't have to be an investment. So we're going to start with, in this session, just the free and basic tools, and then later on I'm going to show you what I use and why I choose to use it, even though it incurs a little expense. I believe it's well worth it. But today we're just going to continue with basically getting your storefront up and running. So this address, whatever, .infinityfreeapp.com, this is, I'll just close that tab. This is where you put that address in, and then /WP-admin, and this takes you to the WordPress control panel or dashboard. And this is basically where you're going to spend all of your time when you're creating web pages. We're not going to be over here in the Infinity free control panel probably pretty much ever, unless there's an error on the web page and you have to go into the file manager and rename the plugins folder so that all the plugins are deactivated. Because like last week, one of my apps it was a 2-part app, and one part updated and the other didn't, and it made the whole site crash. So I had to deactivate everything and then update the theme, and then rename the folder again and bring all the plugins back online. So that would be the only time you'd be in this space. Everything else is going to be inside the WordPress dashboard. And WordPress was designed for blogging originally, and it has evolved into a full-blown commerce application. It's super well supported. There's tons and tons of plugins for everything. So we don't have to learn to program. We don't have to write code. We don't have to figure out how to make 2 different sets of code work together. This allows us to spend our time being creative and putting our product out there. And of course, being that it's based originally in blogging, it's got some cumbersome aspects, and it's got some somewhat limiting aspects. But in all honesty, if you're using good words and you're drawing the right crowd in with the right keywords, and you're very clear about what you're doing, it almost makes no difference what platform you're on.
Hey Dan, real quick, how did you get to the WordPress?
Okay, so when you log into your app infinityfree.net, right here where you created your site, and this is what takes 3 days to come active, it has this web address. So you type that web address in, and then you put /
Oh, that's all you did.
wp-admin. Yeah. And this is going to be your go-to for pretty much everything you'll need to do. I use sticky passwords too. It's something that allows me to record and play back all my passwords, because you can wind up having a bazillion passwords, and when you set your passwords for your admin, it's really recommended that you not call the admin account admin and then come up with nice, ridiculously long, complicated, non-dictionary word passwords. It's not necessarily a big deal, but there are people out there who apparently have nothing better to do than to attack and hack sites. And the last thing you want is somebody to hack your site and then there be kitty porn or something on it. It does happen, so you make the effort. All right, so over here on the left side, you've got post. This is more or less added. This is basically your blogging platform. So you create post. You can put your sales pages, your landing pages, they can all be post. And the advantage might be that when you're putting posts out, you can categorize those posts. People can search all of your content based on categories that they're interested in. And you can have a page that displays the latest post, your latest content. And having new regular content on your website is actually good for your search engine optimization. But it also means that you have to produce some regular content. And also, it's worth considering that maybe you update your content every 3 months so that it renews it and it goes back higher up in the search engine. But you don't have to use post at all. In fact, I recommend starting out, if you're just selling a product, don't even use the post. All right, so next up we have the media library. So as you upload files and make them part of your site, this is where you'll be able to go in and view everything that you have. You'll be able to manage it, delete it, edit, crop, whatever you need to do for media files will be in here. The next thing is pages. Now pages, this is where typically you're going to create your home page, your sales page, a landing page for anything you'd like. And what you create can be modified based on your needs and the needs of the users. I have these massively long sales copy, ridiculous sales pages because they work for one, but you could put up short versions of that basically are media rich and are really driving toward the benefit of what your product offers. And then if you can capture people's attention, then they can drill on in. And that extra half step allows you to collect data. Like you can't do it with the default WordPress setup, but you can track pages and you can figure out, oh, well, I'm getting a lot more response because of this word set or these photos or how you present. And so that half step allows you to collect more data so that you can fine tune your business. But I find that the less clicks that somebody has to do to get to what they need and what you're selling, the better. And that also applies to this whole idea of setting up a website. A lot of people are like, well, why don't you have a full-blown website with a page about your company, a page about your people, a page about your dog? I don't know if y'all have ever gone to somebody's webpage when you're trying to buy a product, and it can be really frustrating when you spend half an hour digging through all of their pages and you can't just simply get to the product, find what you need, and make your purchase. And so we want to avoid that trap altogether. I mean, if I'm going to Walmart.com or Amazon or any of these big successful sites, what's the first thing you see? You see a login and you see a screen that has a search bar where you can immediately search for what you want, followed by the very top products that everybody else searches for, but also fine-tuned with the things you've searched for in the past. So, they do that because it's successful, it works. So we create our pages here. Next down the menu is comments. This is where, when you have posts and blogs, If you have comments turned on, you can moderate your comments there and find out which comments need to be answered. Next up is the appearance tab. Inside of the appearance is the theme, the look of the entire base WordPress plug site. And then you can customize it. You can customize the menus and the little tools and widgets on the side, the headers and the footers. I mean, that's just kind of what WordPress is. It's all about a header, some menus, some main content, some quick links and content on the side, and a footer. And that's kind of the way they organize everything. Next up is plugins. Plugins are where you grab little pieces of software and code that's pre-written and made to just plug in and work with WordPress. And so again, we're avoiding the need to learn how to code or deal with the complexities of coding, because usually we can find a plugin. And a lot of these plugins are supported by millions of sites and have lots of reviews and a lot of not really customer service, but how-to videos and blog pages to do just about anything you want to do. Next up is users. If you have, subscribers to your site or premium content, probably one of the plugins is going to save all your users into this user database. And this is where you'll delete users or reset their password for them, and otherwise manage the users. Tools, there's really nothing particularly important here right now. Some of these tools are not real great, like Site Health. You can import and export your site, which could be important for backing things up to avoid, a catastrophic failure. But you also have to keep in mind a lot of the plugins you install, they're going to show up under tools if it's a tool type plugin, and it doesn't show up in this menu. Settings, these are just general settings. We don't usually get in here very much, so you're welcome. And the best thing to do is get in here and just play with everything. Play with it and break it if you need to. Don't even worry about it. Just mess with it until you figure it out. That's really the best way to learn. So moving on to getting our page set up. So first of all, under the appearance, we're going to go to themes. And inside of themes, when you installed, you may have chose a theme. And I don't know why, but there's a dozen copies of the same theme in my folder. And then there's the 2019, which is kind of like the default one for almost all WordPress sites at the moment. So like you see in here, basically your theme just customizes how your menus look, how the top bar looks, the content, and then the footer, what's at the bottom of the page, because again, that's the default WordPress thing. If you do a live preview of the theme, you can kind of get the gist of what it looks like. And here, there's a broken image. They have a simple menu and, some basic stuff, 2 buttons, and then a place to basically create a post. So most of these themes are really aimed towards just blogging. So they're really kind of inadequate. And some of them can be overly complicated. And if you're having a sales page, you really don't want people wandering off into a whole bunch of other stuff that has nothing to do with the reason they're there. That's a good way to lose a customer. So simple is better. This one is not too bad. It's simplistic, and in all honesty, simplistic is really best. Even when you're creating your first sales pages, start simple and add to it. There's that saying that that 80-20 rule, and when you keep things simplistic, you can get 80% of the results with the least amount of work. So something like this looks really simplistic and it's not too distracting. So it's something that I would probably choose to work with. But you're welcome to choose any theme you like. Just be aware that a lot of these themes, especially the purchased themes, they may require a dozen plugins to work. And when updates happen regularly and one piece of that breaks, it can break your whole site. So I'm not a big fan of a lot of those super customized purchased themes. So when you find the theme you like, we're going to activate and publish. And that's going to basically give your whole site the look that you see here. And then we're going to begin to customize. So right through here is all of the options you have to customize. Here, your site title, again, your site title is going to show up in the browser bar. It's going to show up in the headers. So this needs to be relevant to whatever you're trying to sell, especially when you're focused on a sales page. You don't want somebody, for example, I'm just doing a stupid shoe example, but you don't want someone coming to look for shoes and your site title says something like my blog. They're going to be like, well, what the heck? It's kind of unprofessional. It doesn't, like, what's going on? It's ridiculous. It's a small moment of confusion, but it's enough for a lot of people to just click off and leave your site. So you want a descriptive title, like get, I don't know, whatever it is, try to describe the benefit that they're going to get from it. That way it's descriptive. It tells them what they're here for and what the benefit is. I kind of adapt that in everything. Your tagline, of course, comes in right after that. You might, like, I might even just break that up. Okay, we're here. The site titles, some great, awesome running shoes, and maybe the benefits in your tagline. Make everyone envy you. I know I'm being dramatic and crazy there, but that's okay. I'm just making a point. And so, you have an emotional driver and the reason they're there. That way it eliminates the confusion. And you can hit publish and it'll update that information. And then you click the little back arrow and then we'll go back down. Colors, typically whenever you're designing a website, you're going to have, some set of colors that's basically your theme. So generally it's at least in this theme, it's kind of a two-tone thing. And you just click through here and you fill it out. You don't really have to, it's pretty self-explanatory, honestly. But this is where you change the look and the feel of your entire website. Background image. I don't necessarily want to put a background image on my page. There's other ways to do that, but that's the menu you do it in. Now here in menus, we got menu 1, and there's nothing here. There's nothing to put in a menu yet, really, because we haven't created any pages. So before your menu is made, you need to create pages. Widgets, those are those little, well, in this case, it's options that are in the header and the footer. Homepage settings, basically, the best thing to do is once we've created a page, we're going to select static page and make our sales page our home page. Eventually, maybe your home page, if you have multiple products, will be different, and it will just kind of summarize why you're the best choice and what all you have to offer. But whenever you're just setting up a simple web front, a sales page, then you're just going to make your home page your sales page. This CSS is for additional styling. Generally, we're probably not going to mess with that. So once all that's adjusted to your liking, we hit publish, and we'll just back out, hit the X. And now we're going to go next down below themes is customize. So now this is where we want to customize a few things before we get started building our web page. Site identity, again, we've already changed that. Colors was changed. Let's see. That's not the menu I was looking for, actually. It really, let's see. No, it should have been in there. Background image menus. Okay, there's something missing from this theme here. Let's see. There'll be some minor differences like this between various ones. So sometimes you just kind of have to dig through them until you see what you're looking for. That's kind of unusual. This, of course, this theme may not have the very function I'm looking for. There should be a button in here to allow you to set not only your background images, but also your site icon, which, you know, when you're on a site, you typically have a miniaturized version of the logo that shows up in the tab as well as on the bookmarks that makes you visually distinct from everything else out there. For whatever reason, I guess this theme doesn't include that, so I guess we'll just roll with it. Again, menus, change your menus, backgrounds, theme editor. You know, you can go in there and edit kind of the way some of the aspects of your theme appear. I'm kind of a big fan of starting from a blank page a lot of times. So sometimes, given the option, I will disable sidebars and a lot of the distracting stuff. So probably not going to mess with that because that's CSS. You know, it's kind of more like programming. So now let's begin making our first page. So we're going to go up to page. If you click all pages, it's just going to list every page on the site. We're going to click add new. And this brings us into your basic WordPress block editor. You got to create a title. Again, the title should be relevant. Okay, you know, something relevant to whatever it is and the reason they're there, a reason they might want to buy, or in fact, it might even be something like get or buy the best. You know, most people aren't particularly paying attention to that, but whatever the name that you put here is basically going to be also the name of the web page. So it'll be like here, supergreatshoes.infinityfreeapp.com/ buy the best running shoes ever. So, and basically we start with this little plus sign, and the plus sign is also located up here. This is how we drop blocks in. So we click that and you can choose like a paragraph of text. You can choose, you know, a gallery of pictures, list or bullet points, quotes. If we click this option up here, we have a menu where you can see all of the different blocks and options that we have available to build out our page. So the first thing we might do is drop a heading. Yeah, okay, where to go? It disappeared on me. Anyway, oh, there it is. It's just slow. I don't know if that's my internet or the free hosting. So headings, you know, just FYI, you have H1, H2, H3, H4 type headings. And typically, like in search engines and PDF documents, heading 1 is kind of like a chapter heading in a book. You could almost think of them as chapter titles. So you know, just as an example, we had a heading, and you know, again, this is all about your sales copy and what it is that you're doing. And again, I think simple is sometimes best. So you might have your product, and then maybe you want to drop in a picture of your product. So you just grab an image, throw it in there. Now this is where you can insert it from a URL. If you insert images from URLs and are coming off other web pages, you know, they could just randomly break or disappear in the future. It's best to have your own media stored on your site, so that can't happen. So in this example, you know, if you have product shots, obviously you're going to create some artwork, or you're going to make a good product shot. You're going to do some photo editing. Sometimes if I'm creating content, I'll just literally come do a save image as, and I'll name the pictures, and then I'll relayer a photo with multiple layers, and we'll cover that, you know, how you can create your own quote original artwork by making someone else's completely new again. But once you've got your artwork, and again, we'll have a whole section on how to get your artwork, it's best to upload it to your media directory. And just, you know, whenever you're searching for something, FYI, in the file name, if you know, like I called it delete this, so I can type DEL and then do an asterisk and hit enter. And that does a search in the folders to where it only brings up the files that start with DEL. Kind of a quick way to get there. So that uploads the media. And, you know, there's some very primitive ability to scale this. Captions, I don't necessarily like adding captions. Sometimes it distracts, but your alt text is important because the browsers search and the search engines use the alt text to figure out if the image is actually relevant to what the page is talking about. And the only way they can figure this out is if you tell them in the alt text. This is not something that will normally be seen in a browser, but if some people still to this day will turn off images in their browser, and they'll see the alt text that pops up when imaging browsing is turned off. So basically you're just laying out block by block, piece by piece, the parts of your ad the way you want it to look. So you can list benefits. Wow. Tell you what, I don't type good at all. So anyway, again, you just lay out your product, your sale, and we'll cover writing sales copy and being specific, but this is all there is to it. You just literally think about, what do I need? What do I want to show? And you just literally slide through the menu here and you plop it out there, and then you modify it. You know, they got some social share buttons, so you can throw them in there and link to your social media, your other platforms. They got a search option too, so you can throw in a button. And you know, I don't know if you ever notice how a lot of stuff is kind of giving you a command. That's kind of a general marketing thing. It just tells people click this, and amazingly enough, it drastically increases the number of people that'll click it just to see what's on the next page. The link for this button, now this is where you're going to link out to, typically if it's a buy now button, this is where we're going to have to set up some form of payment processor. You can get plugins for your site called WooCommerce, and WooCommerce is a pretty mature product that integrates with every payment platform out there. But of course, we're going to have a separate video lesson specifically on setting these up. The absolute quickest way that you can go into business here is to either throw up a QR code for Bitcoin or other crypto payments, and a PayPal link. So you can literally go over into PayPal, create a payment button or a payment link, copy the code, and then you just paste it right into the link of the button right here. And then when somebody clicks that, they go to the PayPal checkout, and then they come back to your site. So when you're building the button, you're also giving an address on your website, like a thank you for your purchase page. We've got your order, and we're going to take care of you right away. That's important. So that does take you off your site and then back. And quite honestly, a lot of people absolutely hate PayPal, or they've been ripped off in the past with the shenanigans. So you can't ever change those people's minds. So honestly, I believe it's important to have two forms or two options for payments. I use Stripe payment processing and PayPal, just because, again, some people only want to use PayPal while others absolutely will not use it. So just a little FYI. And this right here would be a very simple product page. You tell them the benefits, you're showing some, you could put videos in here, you could put pictures, but the more simplistic pages, believe it or not, seem to actually work better. When you have a big complicated page, sometimes people don't really pay attention, but people do surf the internet in different styles. Some people are skimmers, and that's why we might come in and use a type of sign language where we would literally just capitalize the words we want to draw out. So somebody that might be skimming through here is going to pick up those capital letters and kind of bypass all the words in between. And it might also be that you might want to, this particular, okay, we're on an H2, that's why. So I cannot spell tonight. So in cases for people who like to skim read, then in your regular copy, you would embolden these things, because if you got a lot of sales copy, there's a lot of people who want to spend the time reading every letter and really deciding if they want this product. They're very careful. They want to see if it benefits them. Other people just want to know, okay, I kind of know what I want. Just give me the Cliff Notes version. So you can do that by using bolding lettering, just to kind of highlight the summary for those people. And then for people who like pictures, you got pictures, and you might even throw a video in there for people that love video. And then of course, typically with any sales page, you're going to want to throw in some kind of social proof. So give the product away to somebody if you have to. Get some social proof, and throw in something that is basically like a testimonial, preferably something real. That way you feel good about it, and it actually carries that vibration into the world. If you fake it all, then on some level it does come across. So throw in something like that, and throw in some contact information so they could email you if they have specific questions. The question then is, how specifically do we get the code from PayPal to put in this button? Well, first you'll need a PayPal account, because it's the simplest way to get paid, and we will be covering other options. When you log into your account, you click on Pay and Get Paid. And under Pay and Get Paid is Accept Payments and PayPal.me. You may need to set this up, but this gives you a payment link, and you notice there's nowhere to input a particular amount that you're going to get paid. So what you do is paste that in your browser, add a /, and then you add the amount that you want to get paid. Select it all, press Control-C to copy that, and you'll notice that when you visit this URL, everything after the / is what determines the price. See, there you go, a bill for $99.95. And depending upon the requirements of your PayPal account, if you've set up the requirement to receive their address information, phone number, etc., you should receive that information. To use that, then you go to your button, you click the link, and then press Control V or right click and choose paste, and then hit the enter button. Now this button on your page will in fact take your customer to PayPal to get paid, and you can set up a return URL in your PayPal account to return them back to your site. Now, a better way to go about this is to use PayPal buttons. So it looks a little more scary, but it's actually just as easy. So under paid and getting paid, we go to PayPal buttons. Now, under PayPal buttons, we have a number of options that we can choose from, including subscriptions, automatic billing, add to cart if you want a shopping cart, or in our case right now, we're just going to do a buy now button. So under our buy now button, we give it a name. We give it an item ID, something that maybe helps you track inventory. You can enter a price, and we have the ability to add an options menu, such as shoe colors. Maybe the red shoe is a little more expensive. So if you need these options, you can use them. And of course, you can add a lot more options. When you're finished entering those options, click Done. We then have the option to enter a specific amount to cover the shipping cost if you haven't already figured that into the existing cost. When you're done with that, click Create Button. And this is your button code. So it's going to create this button and these options for your website. Click on Select Code, press Control C or right click and copy. Now returning to your page, there we go. So now we want to insert our button code, I don't know, maybe right here underneath this testimonial. So we need to type something we're going to be able to see easily and find. And then we're going to go up here to the menu and we're going to choose Code Editor. Now, this is basically what the web page is more or less looking like behind the scenes. You're going to scroll down and look for that code you put. If this is a really big website with a lot of information, you can press Control F and you can actually search for that item. And now you need to select that, including the P and /P. Press Delete. And now press Control V to paste or right click and choose Paste. That now inserts your button code and we can hit Publish. And when we go to view our page, we'll see that we now have a handy dandy PayPal checkout option. We can now choose Buy Now, enter our shipping address, etc., and you now have a functional storefront where people can come to your address, see what you've got to offer, and actually place an order, and you can receive the money. That is a storefront. And we will be covering much more elegant ways to cover and handle all of your shopping because PayPal, of course, by itself can have a few issues such as trust, where a lot of people just don't trust them because they've been burned in the past. But today's lesson is basically about setting up a sales page. So there we are. We've got a sales page set up. We're going to click Publish. And it's telling you this, it's public, and it's going to be immediately viewable, and that's fine. The page is now published. So let's go back to the WordPress dashboard. And now we got to go back into our appearance and our menus. So I'm going to remove that menu entry. So now over here is a list of the pages that are on the site. So this is the page that we just created. So we're going to tick that, and we're going to add it to the menu. That way, anywhere the menu is on the site, there will be a link back to this button. Then we'll click Save Menu. And then we're going to go over to Customize. And we're going to go down to Home Page Settings, and we're going to click a static page. And you can select the home page from the pages that you've created. And at this point, we just have our one and only sales page. We're going to select that and click Publish. So now, if we go to our web page, the home page will be the page that we just built. You would literally have a front end or a store, or you could almost think of this as like a lemonade stand on a dead end cul-de-sac street in the middle of nowhere. It's out there, it's accessible to everyone, but this is what you just got out of doing all that. You now have a URL, a link that you can send anybody anywhere in the world to this page. So now whenever if you're doing social media or YouTube, you're putting this link to send people to this page. Everywhere you go now, if you interview someone or you do an interview with someone else, you can give this link and it directs all that traffic back to here, because that's really what it's about. We now have benefits. We have a sales page. We have a place where they can actually decide, yes, this is for me, or no, and they can actually make a purchase. And this URL is your street address basically on the internet. Now, I'll just mention this too, unstoppable domains. If you wanted to take a decentralized interplanetary file system approach that nobody can regulate or control, you can also get one of those domains, and you can either just redirect it to your regular web page or make a static copy of this web page and load it up on an IPFS server or Filecoin. And I just mentioned that because I believe that the decentralized web is going to become very important in the future. So there you go.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you about that. You build you do your build out in WordPress, say on this free hosting server that we're using, and then you want to move it over to an unstoppable domain. When you say I don't remember exactly what you said, but essentially you'd be making a copy of that and moving it over. Does it move over all the plugins as well, or do you have to work around the limitations of what's available with unstoppable domains at this point?
Okay, so you have to host it on an IPFS server of some sort, whether that's running on your own computer, which I don't recommend because it really makes the computer unusable for other things. But basically at this time, the technology will mature, but at this time, it only supports static web pages. So that's basically going back to the internet of 1990, but with HTML5. So you can still have scripts, you can do lots of cool things, but you don't get access to plugins, you don't get access to a lot of dynamic content, databases, a lot of things that can make a site dynamic. So there are plugins for WordPress that will basically export whatever page you choose as a static web page. So WordPress will generate the web page, the plugin will save it as a static HTML file, and you'll have to load that into your directory that you're using unstoppable domains to point to. Does that make sense?
Can you use hyperlinks? Yeah, it does. Can you do things like hyperlink and?
Yeah, you can use hyperlink. You can still use JavaScript. And with JavaScript, you can access things like animated menus, animated pictures. There's a lot of things built into the HTML5 now that's part of every web browser. You can use all of that. But what I can't do is write a tool, for example, that allows you to punch in your house size and all the details and pricing, and then run a PHP script on the server side and access a price database, or go out and query Home Depot and then build a quote page for the price of your new home. So there are limits to it. But as far as selling stuff, I don't really believe that those things are really necessary. And you can certainly link out to regular web pages at any time. But this is something that, puts you in control, and actual control of your web page. Because, when, what was that social media group that got shut down because they wouldn't censor people? Parler, yeah. So Amazon, which is, believe it or not, the majority of the entire internet is Amazon Web Services, and Google owns all of the routers. So in that case, they got their web server just deleted. I mean, like, they couldn't even access their files to recover the website and all the work they put in. And then on the other side of that is, you got Google, who, like the Lighthouse Law Club, their website was showing how to sue and how they were actually getting $250,000 from the mayors and the governors and the state officials on every time somebody touched them over this COVID thing. They sued them and won. And Google, who owns all of the 90% of the routers, you could not access this United States website from within the United States. Google blocked it, jammed it, or sent it to fouled up routers where you could never view the page. And so you had to use a VPN, hop out of the country, and then you could view the page from outside the country. And so decentralized websites, I believe, are the thing of the future, especially for freedom cells and groups of people who don't want to be locked down and controlled, or people maybe operating the agora or gray markets, where you don't necessarily need to be part of the populace. And since Brave browser now has built-in IPFS support, it's pretty accessible to everybody.
So can you, to your knowledge, well, you said Brave, so that's one option. I was going to say the average browser, can that look at a unstoppable domain?
Only if it's through a embedded service that is basically a normal URL that goes to a service that has your address attached to it, and then it goes through their server to load it up. And my experience with that is that they do work, so you can give that link out. However, the majority of them that I've tried, it takes like 5 minutes to get the web page to load. So at this time, it's, most people can't stay around for 2.5 seconds these days. So they would really have to want to get to you. And I think it could kind of handicap your traffic. But I think you were talking about doing a local economy kind of thing. Then certainly you could get your people to install Brave browser, or maybe you set up a regular web page somewhere, like on this free hosting service that says, hey, to access this, you have to install Brave.
Yeah, what I was thinking about is a QR code with a sticker with whatever was necessary to download on the sticker. And so somebody could just, I need Brave. There's the QR code. They scan it and it points right to the, the Filecoin saved IPFS hosted unstoppable domain.
Yeah, you can do that. You absolutely can. And if you want it to be accessible to everyone, what do they call that? I don't even remember what it's called. I just briefly glanced over it. There's several services out there. I don't remember what they're called, but you know what? I think, actually, now that I think about it, Unstoppable Domains has, or somewhere on their site, they had a somewhere. This might take more time than I'm willing to commit to it just at this moment, but I know that somewhere there's a site, or so there's multiple sites that will embed that your IPFS address via a gateway, basically, so that normal browsers can view your content. And it might be that you just simply have the page they go to just has a very quick and dirty summary, very simplistic, fast loading page that has, like click here to install Brave for faster access. And there's even some scripts you could put in there where if they're not browsing from Brave, instead of showing them the full-blown website, you could offer them the opportunity to load Brave and kind of give them a simplistic, fast-loading version. So I'm not finding it just off with a quick Google search, but that does exist. So yeah, you can embed a QR code. So
Awesome.
do we, one other thing, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in here and go ahead and use one of the other more important menus. Under plugins, there's install plugins and add new. And there's two plugins I recommend you start off with immediately. And let's see. Yoast. Whenever you search for a plugin, you click install. Yoast SEO. You don't have to get the premium version at all. In fact, a lot of the features of the premium version actually aren't that great, but the base free functions of this will really help you when it comes to optimizing your site for search engines. Because, everybody on the internet is going to find you through keywords and hashtags. So it's important to make your site score as well as possible so that when the search engines are indexing you, they put you more up toward the top of the list. So Yoast is one of those things that really simplifies that process. So when you click this button, the site has to download, unpack the zip, and then install the plugin. And this is an example of why free hosting, it does have its limitations and things that you have to deal with, like the amount of time that it takes for it to download and install something. So now that it's installed, you have to activate the plugin or it doesn't do anything. And then if you have a plugin that's misbehaving, you can uninstall it. Under settings is not a big deal with this plugin. But what's really cool about this now is if we go to all pages and we click edit, the page we were already editing, that plugin is now going to be plugged into what we've done here. So now we see here, the SEO is red, okay? And you look down here, the SEO analysis shows you, okay, we got an image, we got an internal link that links to another page. The width of the title is good. That means the title width is not blasting off the edge of the screen. But the way this plugin works is, like I make running shoes my focus keyword because I've done market research and I'm deciding that I'm targeting people who want running shoes. Now, get related key phrases, that can be kind of nice, but this is a premium option. So we type that in there, and here we have what is basically a search engine result that you might see when someone's searching for your web page. So a slug, buy the best running shoes ever, you could, there's a dash, which in search engine world, dash is the same as a space between words, but the dash also lets the search engine know that all of these words are actually related to what you're trying to say. So you have a focus phrase, and then at every change you make, you can go down here and say, okay, well, it says that down here, we got an orange rating, it's not red, so it's a little better. The key phrase is not in the title. So we need running shoes to appear in the title. So we can go in here to title, where right now it says buy the best running shoes ever. Let's see. It actually is in the title. Did I misread that? Oh, the exact match of the phrase. Okay. So we can go in here to title. And that's what's cool too. Here in the various parts, the metadata, you get to modify what shows up in the search results. So again, you want this. Okay, it's running shoes because that's who has to be marketing to. Get. In fact, I might even change that some more. A separator is a dash. You can change that. Let's see, previously used keys phrase. You used this key phrase once before. So you just keep reading back and forth and perfecting shoes. And this bar, as long as this bar is green, you're doing okay. Meta description. This is that area right there. So, you know, you may want to tweak that some and see, like right now it says, please provide metadata. So there's none. So, just make up something. As you see, the little bar, the scoring bar is growing as we type. We don't want this too long or too short, or search engines will, you know, look less favorably upon us. And I'm terrible at spelling, so I installed a little spell check in there, but between my fat fingers hitting 2 and 3 keys and my spelling, sometimes I need that. So we're not long enough. Yeah. Golly. See, I hit all these extra keys. But
Dan, what is it talking about when it says JSON? Is that some kind of formatting issue?
that is
Like, did you get an error?
yeah, it's kind of it's a kind of a formatting language for a web page. So yeah, so you see
Are
here.
there certain files?
Go ahead.
Are there certain like picture formats that WordPress does and doesn't like, or is it plugin specific or theme specific?
Well, basically it supports what browsers support. So generally that's going to be a JPEG, a PNG, or a GIF. JPEG is the best for smaller file sizes. PNGs are great whenever you need a transparent background. Like, see, I got this image of these shoes here. Well, I got my screen share just locked onto this, but you know, you can load it up in a photo editor and you can punch out the background and make it transparent. And then when you load the picture up, instead of having this big ugly block picture here, you can just show the shoes, for example. You know, it'd be a product shot. GIFs, they're very useful for basically, instead of having videos on your page, you can create an animated picture or a series of pictures. So you can kind of tell a story, or you can have a changing sign without having to have a gigantic video file. So each one has their specific purpose and preferred use. And, you know, JPEGs are what I would use for generally everything, unless, you know, I need it to be transparent or I need it to be animated, because part of the search engine scoring algorithm is how fast does your page load. So, you know, they say we need 300 words. I found that does rank you a little lower, but having 300 words isn't absolutely necessary. So, we need to, it says I have 47 words. I need to add more words. I need the key phrase in the meta description. So we'll just copy the key phrase, paste it into the description. And I don't know, let's see, it doesn't seem like this is, let's see, right here it says previously used key phrase. This is a little bit of a pain, but working through this allows you to, it's kind of, again, the 80-20 rule. If you can get all green lights on this, you're going to be in pretty decent shape, at least as far as the technical scoring goes. That doesn't necessarily mean that the keywords you've chosen are something that anybody has an interest in. Outbound links, they always want to see that on every page there's a link that goes off of your website to somewhere else. So this would be really handy if, for example, you wanted to, let's see, list benefits 1. So I could come in here, highlight a word, and I could add a link, or let's see, benefit 1 on this video, and you highlight it and you add a link to something like, these are all things that search engines look for. And we'll update the page there. Did that actually save? No, it didn't. I'll open that in a new tab and we're done. I'm not understanding why this isn't. Search engine should ignore that. No, you definitely don't want that. Okay, had to hit the enter sign. That's different. So now you have a link to an external site. So if we go back down here in the SEO, we see that's gone. We now have an outbound link that's in the green. So really, as you're building your web page, as you're building your sales page, this plugin just simply allows you to kind of get the core basis of search engine optimization done. And key phrases and how they appear and how you reuse the words. It's all very important because search engine optimization is how generally the greater public is going to find you, but it takes a year to 3 years before that SEO starts kicking in and the search engines start directing a whole bunch of traffic to you. So, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but in the long run, it's well worth doing because it could mean the difference between having a few views or millions of views in the future. So SEO is not really to make product sales now, but there's no reason not to use this plugin and at least hit the highlights. Now, I'm going to go back to the WordPress menu. Chris, you asked about the SSL versus the non-secured and changing that. So that's another plugin. You can go over here and you can finagle a lot of settings. And if you get 3 or 4 different settings right, then your pages will appear as secure pages. However, you can go over here to this plugin and do really simple SSL. And really simple SSL is a plugin that takes care of all those background details without having to go over here into your control panel of your hosting account and finagle with things you may not be familiar with. So we can activate that plugin. We can go to settings. And basically, it just takes care of the background work for you. So your SSL, secure socket layer, is not yet enabled. That means that nothing's done. Now, here's the thing about this free site. Most free sites, even if they do offer a free shared security certificate, The problem is because you're on a free server, this site at this IP address may be hosting porn or something objectionable. So if you use their shared security certificate, you're kind of going to fall into a less trusted category. And certain security programs that people are installing won't even let you see their site. Even like Google Chrome will just censor you. So you really want to get your own security certificate. So, you know, it's not that expensive and it's worth doing. A really good paid hosting service will come with an SSL certificate anyway. But if you need to buy one, SSLS.com, you can see a comparison of prices across these, you know, more popular sites, and they're actually one of the cheapest. So starting at $3.44, basically, or here $3.88, you can get a basic security certificate for an entire year. So this is one of those, you know, cost of doing businesses. And this is something you need if you're going to be selling products, because you don't want people to be looking at your product thinking about punching their credit card information in here, and they're getting a big fat warning like, let's see. There we go. See right here at the very top of the site is saying not secure. So, you know, if I'm going to this site to buy me some running shoes, am I really going to want to type my credit card number into a non-secure site? So that's one of those little bits and pieces. You know, it's not necessarily an issue right now. And I don't even think there's any way you could do it for a decentralized IPFS website, but on the normal web for normal people, this is very important. So with this plugin, then you can install a security certificate.
So if this plugin,
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to ask about the this plugin that you recommended, really simple SSL. Now it has like its own wizard that you go through to set it up. Is if you're having an issue with the wizard, is that like indicative of the theme, or is that maybe some other problem?
It could be the theme, and it could be some hosting settings. These are the little odds and ends you can run into when it comes to using free hosting. We're using this as a setup because you literally can launch a business and get it up and running really fast. But I really believe it's worth the money to have paid hosting. And there's a ton of them out there. I've been using Bluehost for some time, and they have been reasonably fast. They've had virtually no downtime, and the price is not too bad. So this is who I use. Just, you know, and you know, I bought this, I don't know, 5 years ago. So I've continued to use them because it's so much easier to have everything in one spot. You can buy hosting in one location and then buy your web domain in another location. But here at $4.95 a month, you know, you should be able to recoup a cost of that really fast and easy. And we will be getting into using the Bluehost stuff because they do have security certificates that's part of your package. And that's set up in the control panel. If you're having an issue with installing a security certificate, probably it's going to be something on the hosting side of things. So, and that's another thing with paid hosting like Bluehost, you actually
the Blue.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you about Bluehost. Do they have a live support person that you can reach out to if you've got issues that you need to work through, like the one that I was having, or is it kind of like you're never going to talk to a real person situation?
Well, they offer phone support. It's on the very slow side. They have an inline, like basically a chat that you can chat with customer support, and usually you get an answer within the hour. And then they have email support that is usually answered within the day, and they have 24-hour support. So generally they do a pretty decent job of taking care of problems. So again, you're
Gotcha.
you're buying a little bit of customer service too. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you know, honestly, you can't, for $5 a month. I mean, I don't know what you can expect, and you know, but it is worth it whenever you run into some of these little glitchy things that can happen sometimes, to have the paid support. And again, you know, you're getting a faster server, you're getting better storage, you're getting a lot of things with a hosted service you've paid for. But you also have to be realizing that just because you bought a service doesn't mean it's worth what you paid for it. But Bluehost, they don't really pull any stupid tricks like I think GoDaddy or one of those other sites. You can go over there and you can get a free or $1 domain name, and then you buy their hosting service, and then the next year the price of their hosting service has doubled, and the domain name costs you $30. You know, in the course of business, it's nothing. But you know, I just don't really appreciate being treated that way, so I don't use them. Bluehost is just kind of a reasonable middle of the road price for a lot of stuff.
Does Bluehost allow you to pay for your site in cryptocurrency for your hosting services?
No, Bluehost is very mainstream. So I haven't tried any hosting services that do support crypto, but I know they're out there. And I will add this, Chris, you know, if you wanted to delve into technical aspects, it is possible to host your own web server. You just have to have a static IP address. And typically that's arranged through your internet service provider. But that brings in a whole nother level of commitment to maintaining the systems and files and complexities of running a server, especially if you run it on Windows, which just randomly breaks for no reason. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover tonight, is just the idea of setting up a very simple storefront, getting that up and running, and the 2 plugins to start with, and kind of just being familiar with where to go. Let's see, I don't know. Let's see if I can get this to log in automatically here. I use these ridiculously long generated passwords for a lot of this stuff, so you know, I'm not at all interested in trying to memorize these character sequences. I used to be in IT for some years, so you know, I learned how to break through every form of security, and you know, an 8-digit password with letters and numbers, upper and lower case, is like one of the easiest things in the world to break. So that's what you don't want to do, is what everybody suggests that you do.
Hey Dan, I had one question while you're I guess waiting for that to load.
Okay.
You were saying that once you created the page and published it, that was accessible for somebody out there to get to?
Yes, immediately. So
So how do you prevent that if you just want to keep tinkering and working on things and constantly making little tweaks and updates?
okay.
Is there
So
a way to kind of just keep it offline until you've tested it and are satisfied with it before you're ready for a live launch?
oh, absolutely. Here, we'll do that right now. My test page. So over here, you see visibility is public and publish immediately. So you can save a draft and then you can do previews. Now let's see. There's some minor differences in the WordPress installs from one host to another. If you click public visibility, you can do a password protected site. So if you're doing something kind of sensitive, it can be password protected, or you can just choose private so that it's only viewable to you.
Oh, okay.
And then whenever you publish that, of course, right here, you know, say page updated, you can view the page. And let's see, the URL for that page. Where is, well, okay, we'll just use the preview button. So up here next to update is preview. So you can click on this to preview your page. So you'll be able to view it, edit it, do everything to your heart's content. And then when it's to perfection and you want it to go live, you can just switch that to public.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome. And by the way, this is also like if you want to do it on the cheap and you want to have like a premium member content kind of thing, you can do password protected and then just issue that password to your subscribers. So that is another use for that function without having to buy a plugin or, you know, anything special.
That was something I was going to ask you about, like setting up a, you know, private members association as the entity for the business. And just having it like as a subscription, and you've got, you know, X product or X service, and then having a way for your customers to log in. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's the most off the shelf, cheap way to do it. We're going to be getting into some other, the tool set that I use because it really accelerates the workflow. And it's designed to integrate a whole lot of things that you need whenever you're building a business website. One other thing I'm going to mention about like Bluehost, unlike our free hosting account, they do have actual email. So you can set up, I forget how many, I think it comes with 5 or 10 different emails that you can set up so that you can actually have your name at your website.com. And that's really much better than, I mean, you can use a Gmail or Proton Mail email account for your business. But it is kind of nice to have, you know, an email address at your site. And over here, you know, they disabled that service altogether on Infinity Free because, of course, when it's free, it attracts every low life on the internet, and they start sending out so much spam mail that all of their IP addresses basically get blocked by everybody. And so that means your website included could get on a blocked IP list because some other jerk was sending, you know, just unreasonable amounts of spam to people. So that's another advantage to having the paid service is you actually have access to your mail. You can set these up so you can actually install the account on your phone, and it'll just you'll be able to access your private email from your phone, or you can use the webmail browser to check your email there. And of course, you know, when you're buying domain names and stuff, if you do it all in the same hosting service, like I have one site that I set up for Christina, and it was a free hosting site that was pretty decent, but the name was purchased on a different site, and it worked for years, and then suddenly it wouldn't sync up, and their customer service, because it's free, they don't really care, and the people you bought the name from don't care because they're not hosting it, and it's so difficult to get that to work out. So, you know, you can go in here, you can buy domain names, and then you can quite literally link them up with redirects, or you can assign them to a different directory on your existing web page. You know, like whenever you're setting up a religious nonprofit, for example, some places say, well, we need a flyer from your church to prove that you're doing regular worship, or we need a website. Well, okay, so I can create a folder for my association that's just basically a public invite to worship and the details of that, and then I can assign an entirely separate domain name just to that folder on my website, and I don't have to reinstall WordPress, I don't have to buy new plugins, I don't have to hire new hosting, and I don't have to revert to using free hosting either. So that's pretty much it, I think, for tonight. So do you have any more questions, thoughts?
I have a question, but it goes, all the way back to the beginning about just getting to the WordPress page. I don't know if you want to do that on the recording or just do it offline.
No, it's fine. We'll do it. So
Yeah, I don't know what I missed. I just copied the website for the infinity.com
uh-huh.
or infinityfreeapp.com. Copied that, pasted it in another browser, and then added the WP/admin, and it took me to it's just
So
just a page that says infinityfreeapp.com at the top with like three buttons on the whole page for SMS, text message service, online software, and timesheet mobile apps.
okay, so you got both the slashes in that?
Yeah, the /
Yep.
before the WP admin and then the one after it.
Okay. Then the next thing is, whenever you created this quote account here for that name, how many days ago was that?
So that was probably 2 days ago, but I can get to the actual web page. I set up a standard theme when I did it.
Okay.
It's like a mechanic shop template, so I can actually get to that pretty much blank page with that theme on it.
Well,
So maybe I did, maybe that the WordPress.
no,
Stuff.
usually when you get that screen, it means that whenever you make a change to the domain name servers or you enter your new business name, it takes up to 3 days for that to propagate out to all the computers on the internet. So you may just need to give it another 24 hours or whatever, and then it should work.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. Just, I don't know why it has to take 3 days, but I guess well, yeah, I do. So a lot of computers are set up, and if you're running the domain name server, then you've got a room full of computers and hard drives, and you got terabytes of addresses, and they all have to be updated, so they don't update all of them every day. And that's why when you set these up, you just kind of need to do it 3 days ahead of time before you need it to be live. But I bet you it'll work for you in a day.
Okay, yeah, I'll just give it a day and then I can start playing around with it.
So now you have your internet storefront, a place where you can sell things. But where do you go from there? This is kind of like having a lemonade stand on a cul-de-sac dead-end street in the middle of nowhere. You have no traffic, nobody driving by, nobody to actually make your purchases. So the real work then begins when we set up our methods of directing traffic to our business. In traditional business, it's just usually paid advertising. And as long as you're making more than you're paying, that it's worth your effort, then it's successful. We will be covering that aspect of marketing. We're also going to be showing you the internet marketing, how to get and drive traffic quickly. Of course, search engine optimization, so that in the long run, you'll have organic, natural traffic flowing into your site from all over the world. But that process can take from 6 months to 3 years before the search engines really start sending traffic to you, and of course only if you've done your search engine optimization correctly, and only if you're using the right keywords that you've found for your ideal customer and your target audience. But this course is about so much more than that. So while we show you all of the other aspects that's typically wrapped up in a dozen other courses that would easily cost you twice as much as this course, we're going to go much further. We're going to show you how to develop yourself into the person that can be that successful business person. It's limiting beliefs that prevent most people from succeeding. It's not just a lack of daily action. Usually people have fear, they have doubts, and they have programs. And if any of that's going on, then you won't take the action. You're not even connected to divine inspiration, and you don't know what product to bring. And maybe you have imposter syndrome. Maybe you feel guilty for taking money from someone else. And yet you would still take a paycheck for a job who's taking money from someone else and keeping most of it. But anyway, We're going to show you how to overcome those limiting beliefs, how to become the successful business person inside and align all that you are to put your energies and your vibration in the right place so that not only the law of attraction, but the entire universe will begin to bring all the people, the circumstances, and the customers. And yes, specifically, we're going to show you how to manifest business. We're going to show you how to go into a prayerful, meditative state, connect in the right way, and put your offer into the universe and receive customers, sales, and businesses immediately from that spiritual work. It is a paradigm shift, a complete change. You know, many of the law of attraction videos out there, they do help improve you. They give you, a piece of it, the law of vibration, aka the law of attraction, which is only one of 12 laws. That is only a piece of the puzzle. When you put your storefront out there and you put it online, when you make it discoverable, and then you do the vibration work, and then you do the manifestation, it's then that the realization or the real manifestation happens. It's when the materialization happens because you've already set the stage. You've already cleared the path for a flow of abundance, including clearing the path within your belief systems and your energetic systems to allow yourself to receive that flow of money. Because if you think that money is evil or that all rich people are bad, then quite frankly, your subconscious, your programs are going to do what they're supposed to do. They're going to serve you to keep you on the track that you have chosen and programmed yourself with, or that society and parents and peers have programmed you with. So you have to open up those channels as well so that you can put out a value and you can lovingly and gratefully receive that flow of value back into your life. And with all the stages set, manifestation becomes very easy. So if you would like to learn how to manifest business, click the link and find out how you can clear all of the obstacles and open up a flow of abundance into your life to where you don't have to work the job and you can actually become who you should be. You can actually live the life that somewhere deep down in your heart there's a desire and a hunger and an aching for something more, something meaningful, something substantial, something that matters to you. A place where everything that you serve is for the good of others and in reciprocity also good for you. A place and a path of beauty. So you're invited to this amazing, life-changing adventure like nothing else out there. Come and join this paradigm shift in the way that we do business and therefore the way that we conduct our lives in freedom, not tied down to trading time for money, but instead living life and pursuing divine growth, awakening, arising, and ascending our consciousness and our spirit toward a greater future. I look forward to meeting you in the course.